So can somebody please explain to me how this became a fashion statement?
I'm too sexy for your party, too sexy for your party. No way I'm disco dancing.
I mean, seriously, guys, do you like wake up in the morning, look in the mirror and be like, damn, I look crack-a-lackin'. But don't worry about it, ladies. I got the solution. I swear, I got it. Now, gentlemen, wait for it. Wait for it. It's a belt! It comes in all sizes and colors.
Yes!
It's designed to fit pretty much any men's bottom wear.
Yes!
And none of us get to see the crack of your ass.
Yes! That's awesome!
We'll be right back with Grandmixer DXT. Yeah, I'm coming. Oh. Welcome back, everybody. So tonight my guest is a Grammy winner, musician, music producer, DJ, and widely known as the first turntablist that the name was coined to him by Herbie Hancock. Let's take a look at a clip.
Everybody in the place, I want everybody to count down from 10 down to 0 like this. 10, 9,
Guys, please welcome to the show, Grandmixer DXT.
I'm good, my brother. All is good.
Pleasure, pleasure. So you've had a pretty crazy career so far, man. You know, it's funny, just doing a lot of these interviews. I never thought, growing up that I'd be interviewing guys that I used to, do a little pop rocking to back in the day.
Right.
I keep telling people, I see all those white legs up there. I'm like, yeah, that's my brother. That's my dad. That's that jerk around the corner that just pissed off DXT back in the day. So those legs right there, they're not mechanical, man. That's the real deal. They're just beating to you. And I'm like, yeah, that's messed up what he did. People don't even understand that. That stuff's crazy.
No doubt.
But, yeah, man. So we're going to get into a lot because, we can get into the past a little just to keep people updated, like who I'm speaking to. But I really want to...
Wherever you want to go, man.
I want to talk about more about what you're doing today. So, guys, if you're not sure who this is, all right, this is number one in history turntablist that actually won a Grammy. If you guys don't recognize that, that's a big deal with a lot of people, pretty much most people in the world. You're also a musician, music producer, DJ. And again, I wanted to let people understand what is the difference between being a DJ and being a turntablist. What's the difference in that?
Well, hold on. Okay. So the term turntablist was coined by Herbie Hancock.
Mm-hmm.
And the night he did it, we were in London, England, after a concert we did at the Hammond Smith Odeon, and the journalist came in the back after we did the whole performance of Rocket with all the robots from the video. It was a huge, huge concert. We had the full stage production, all the robots going, the whole thing. And so all these journalists were waiting for us when we came to the back. And he said, so what do you call him? Like, how do you refer to him? You call him a DJ? And he said, he's a turntablist. And me personally, I hated it. I hated that term.
It's too long, right?
He said he's a turntablist. And I was like, I'm a DJ. And so when they all left, I said, Herbie, call me a DJ. He said, D, I'm a pianist. Wayne is a bassist, you know, and what you're doing is you're not DJing on stage. You're literally playing the turntable like a musical instrument. So you're a turntablist and you're a virtuoso at it. And so you're a turntablist. So I just said, yeah, well, whatever. And
well, today,
a few people would come up to me and ask me about it. And I was like, no, I'm a DJ for years.
Yeah, but I've noticed a lot of DJs using that. Now, today it's more known turntablist, but back in the day, it might as well have been like a venereal disease. Like, wait, he's a what? What does he have? Like, what is that?
Yeah, but keep this in mind.
Have that.
Yeah, this is 1984. Like, yeah. So there's no one yet, as far as the guys who call themselves turntablists today. But the real definition of the terminology is a person who uses the turntable as part of a musical ensemble as a musician. And that's where it came from. But now guys who just do scratch battles and stuff like that are calling themselves turntablists. That's actually, those are scratch DJs or just DJs. A turntablist is a person who plays as part of a music ensemble, according to the person who coined the phrase. There was a misunderstanding. Some of my brothers, I think Babu and Disc, you know, their eureka moment they had of the terminology, they had it without knowing that it was already in play. I just didn't use it, and I didn't care to. And so, you know, people started saying, well, you know, that's what he coined the phrase to explain what you were doing. And so, you know, it is what it is. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you something, man, because today a lot of people use Seratos. Now, obviously, it's a little more technical and stuff. Do you find it harder with the equipment today, or do you have to be more skilled today to use these? Is there a big difference between the DJs today and the DJs at the past? It's hard to compare, but do you find a different skill level now because there's so much more technology that's allowing people to do stuff that's like, you know, it seems like everybody wants to be a DJ now. Do you ever see that?
Well, you know, I started, you know, in the 70s.
Right.
And so the technology of the time is what you had to learn. And so it's, you know, I used to be caught in that purist DJ mode also until I recognized that the technology of the time is what the people today are starting with. So you can't knock them for starting with what's there for them to start with. You know, me, I'm comfortable with turntables. And so if you can create a controller that simulates a turntable, I can rock with that. That's why I use the Rain 12s, because it's very similar, except there's no tone arm. It took me a while to stop reaching for a tone arm that was no longer there. But the feel is identical to a turntable. And so I'm able to deal with that. I think that it is, in today's world, the technology of the time is based on, you know, people are functioning based on what's there. So the same way I had to learn how to use my equipment in my time, they have to, it's the same learning curve for them. It's new to them, just like that was new to us. And so now for me to make the adjustment, that's different, because that it's also new to me, but I'm already trained. My physical and motor skills are trained through my brain computer to function this way with this technology. And now this new technology is available. So I have to adjust and able
Right.
to enable myself to do it sufficiently. Another thing is, you know, the record carrying process, you know, to alleviate that, you know, is a blessing, you know.
Oh, you don't like carrying those big giant milk crates? Like, I remember those days.
We used to carry
I would
like
come in,
30, 40 crates.
Oh my God! Every time I go to a club back in the day, I would go up to a DJ and be like, "Yo, bro, you working or you moving?" And he's like,
And you know, I did the Roxy's, and so when we did the Roxy's, I'd bring like 30 crates, and everybody would help me to get in free. And then when it was over, you know, it was like me and two people.
"They're out.
They're gone. Everybody's gone." I used to have to, and I lived in the Bronx at the time too, so I had to take like 2 and 3 taxi cabs full of crates all the way back. And I'm talking about the yellow cabs with the meters.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right, yeah.
And I'm glad you answered that question with the turntable. I always ask that with DJs because every DJ has their own opinion. My whole thing is this. Listen, when you're used to working on an old school Samsung Android, eventually you're going to have to step it up to an iPhone. And that's pretty much how the stages go in every business. And when you're seasoned like you are, as long as the similarities are there, but the one thing that you cannot put in a Serato, in a turntable, in nothing, is the creativity of the brain of the person behind the music when he's about to go on. That's one thing they'll never be able to replace, because I know there is a method about melding music into each other to keep that party going throughout. But the one thing I hated, especially in Long Island, how do you go from a dope, like Biggie Small song, you're popping, everybody's having a good time, nowhere, the DJ's like, dancing queen. I'm like, wait,
well,
what?
that's where the terminology selector comes in. I played in the biggest club in New York City. That was, at the time, that was the biggest, the largest, most popular club. I had no choice but to understand how to channel the energy to the dance floor and be consistent at it. Because if nobody's dancing, nobody's going to get thirsty. If nobody gets thirsty, nobody's going to drink. And so that was the name of the game. You know, keep the women dancing because they get thirsty. The guys buy them drinks and themselves. That was that was the whole pitch. The women come in and let loose and getting over stuff and with their girlfriends and frustration. They just want to dance and drink, and the fellas want to supply that so that they can, you know, move into other things. And so my job was to make sure that that happened. You know?
And I'm glad you're saying that, because I'm picturing doing a parody now about how we're all dancing in the club, and then the DJ decides to put on some whack ass music like Chicago. I'm gonna be like, "You guys, let's get him." Go up to the booth like, "You better put that song back on. I'm trying to get laid up in here." You know,
yeah, the whole thing was about keeping the energy going. And so some people, one of the things I noticed that I'm not happy to see is a lot of DJs showcase regardless to where they are.
Mm-hmm.
They don't recognize, okay, I'm in a club and people are trying to dance. This is not the time for me to show, you know, my DMC skills.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I totally 100% agree with you. The scratching.
Yeah, and so you got people chopping up beats that, as far as the culture, there are certain records that you just play, and there's certain records that you chop up.
Yeah.
And some of that has been lost, because I see people chopping up records that it is part of the tradition that you let it play from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had to say that to a DJ one day, like, dude, you don't chop up this particular song. Excuse me.
Salute.
Yeah,
Wait, I got a mask for you. You need a mask? I got a mask.
No. I'm good. I was out sanding some shutters.
Yeah.
And I'm repainting some shutters, and I was sanding, so I inhaled some of the dust.
No, it's all good, bro.
Yeah. No, I'm staying far away from all that stuff.
Listen, man, I'm all good. I got my shot, my second. I'm all good to go.
I
You know.
don't have no. I don't. I'm gonna take a shot of some apple juice, bro. That's.
Oh my God, really?
And I'll go take another shot too. But that's the only shot I'm taking. Some apple juice.
Apple juice and vodka. Just that's
No,
what that's
no
what cured
alcohol.
me.
No alcohol.
Oh yeah, all right, good for you, man.
I don't drink
No,
or
I love
smoke.
guys like you that don't do alcohol. The advantage of you to me is when you wake up in the next day, you'll actually look at a girl and be like, "See, I did pick the right one." I wake up the next day, I'm like, "Oh hell, not again!" I'm like, "Drop out."
Right. You went
There's a
from
fire.
Beyonce. You went from Beyonce to Bigfoot in 24 hours.
Exactly. So I'm going to ask you something because we didn't meet yet at the time, but I was at the Universal Hip Hop Museum groundbreaking ceremony.
I was there.
Yeah, I know. I actually wanted to talk to you and say hi, but the problem was,
The security wouldn't let you get close.
it's not the security. Oh, dude, I can get by security. Like, I'm smooth like that. I got swag like that. I just go up to them. Everybody knows me. That's the thing. They see me coming, they're like, that's that comedian fool right there. Let him through.
Right.
But the only reason why I couldn't get to you or LL or even Nas, because a lot of the people there that weren't impressed, they were kind of rude. And I'm going to be honest with you, and I'll explain to you why. It was me, and I'm friends with ABC, NBC. We were all in a row in the back, right, shooting all you guys speaking. And every time something important came up, and we're here to cover, right, everybody kept standing up, and it got to the point where some of the big news people started leaving because we couldn't cover anything. When we went to approach some of you guys to get an interview, everybody was like all over the place, like, take a picture. I even had somebody, bro, I was interviewing Chuck D and Paris Smith at the same time. Somebody literally stepped in front of my camera and grabbed Paris, and he's like, can we take a selfie? And me and Chuck D are looking at this lady like, seriously? Like, what's going on around here? You know, and people didn't recognize.
Apparently, they missed controlling press and artists. Opportunities were overlooked in the melee of the excitement. I understand. I sat down. I didn't stand up until.
Yeah, it was great though. What was your feeling? Because I went a little off cuff. What was your feeling when you were actually sitting there knowing that after 10 years, and I asked all the guys this, you're finally getting pretty much, even though it's a museum, it's really considered the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame of hip hop, scheduled in the Bronx, 10 years in the making. What was your feeling when we're sitting there going through all this? Were you excited about it? Was it long overdue for you? Tell me about it.
I'm excited to see the potential because of the potential of what it can do. Mm-hmm. But I'm also troubled at the same time, you know, because as that building is being erected, there are certain moral absolutes that we must bring back and erect those things for our children so that we put the proper things in their brain computers. We're seeing the degradation of a people through a supposed culture. Mm-hmm. And it is devastating our communities. And so for a person who's a mouthpiece, who's made their career speaking and not seeing enough of that being addressed, the absolute debauchery that's going on in the communities, all of these shootings and all of these issues that's happening, and very little is being said by the so-called artists, and the media is not dealing with it. The record industry is not dealing with it. It seems to be a purposely weaponized situation where the culture has been weaponized to fulfill unseen and hidden agendas. And so I think that it is critical as that is being built, that in what should be instilled and made sure that programs in that building deal directly with the mindset of our young people. And one of the key factors is to bring back the idea of what the best of our ancestors produce, and that is that your culture represents your immune system in whatever social structure that you're functioning in. And it is not doing that at this young people.
Okay. When you say it, are you talking about the Universal Hip Hop Museum? Or are you talking about society in general?
I'm saying what we are calling hip hop today
Okay.
has proven to be detrimental to our communities as far as
You
the
think it should
mindset.
you think it should be renamed, like instead of calling it hip hop, just give it a
No, it doesn't
different
matter
type of
what you
name?
call it, because it's really, and I'm going to expound on that, because it's
Mhm.
not the hip hop culture. It's the society.
Right.
We're doing it through the culture. It's the
Right.
society's impact on us, and in our expression, we are being poisoned with these social constructs that we see every day, that we play the video games in, that's in the movies. That's all of that is part of where our expression is going, and so we're passing that to the next generation.
Right.
And you see what I'm saying? And so.
Mhm.
Again, your culture should function as your immune system within the social construct that you're functioning in. And if it is not doing that as a responsibility to yourself and your family and your people, it should be discarded or corrected. If it can't be corrected, it should be discarded. And we have a responsibility to our young people to make sure that what they're practicing, they benefit from, not suffer from.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I can definitely concur with that. And yeah, I mean, I'm hoping. I mean, when I spoke to some of the people at the museum, Pete Nice, Paradise Gray, which I appreciate those two guys.
Me too.
Especially
Pete Nice and Paradise Gray. Those are my brothers.
Yeah, I mean, I just interviewed them last week. Especially, I mean, both of them together. Their job is so crucial. I mean, they are trying to get all the great paraphernalia from the history of hip hop to today. So when people finally get to see this thing, they're going to really see an amazing history of a positive movement where this music started from. I mean, this music of hip hop is pretty much my ideal, was poetry, put a beat behind poetry. It was for people to avoid violence, go on the streets and kick it with each other. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, I grew up in Long Island. I'm from Queens, but hip hop had a huge impact on me.
Right.
I got made fun of a lot. I mean, imagine a white guy wearing baggy pants and gold chains and had a little afro that couldn't windmill for shit. You know, it wasn't the best look, but
those styles are
awesome.
those styles are part of the tradition of being colorful. You know, it's tribal stuff, but the expression itself through the rhyming and the rhythms, that's ancient. It goes way beyond the Bronx, and it is, you know, we just so happen to be in the right frequency at the right time to reconnect to that ancient history, that ancient expression, that ancient energy that we in our time are calling hip hop. But it is old as time itself is in regards to human beings being here.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got some people, DJ Diamond the Artist is on here saying what's up. You got RN Management commenting, Tommy Lee from the Violators. So
Tommy Lee, that's Team Hip Hop. Tommy Lee, shout out.
Yeah,
Shout
that's
out
my
Harry.
dude, man. Violators Radio, man. They're my boys right there. I love those guys. Let's go on a different course right now, because I'll be honest with you. I know you look me up and see all the stuff I do when it comes to civil rights. I could talk about this with you for hours. And you know, seriously,
because what's going to happen is I'm going to start having my Martin Luther King voice while I'm talking, and I don't want to do that. So,
and I'm going to come right back at you, and people go to battle us back and forth. It's going to be James Corbin versus Method Man, and I'm going to take it to the rooftop, and you're not going to bring me down. I praise to the Lord. I swear. But I got to ask you something, man. I know you produce Herbie Hancock, a lot of other greats. The one I really want to ask you about, the Rolling Stones, bro. I mean,
well, I worked with, I'm part of Material. So one of the records was the Lucky in Love album. I actually went to the meetings with Mick. I went to Compass Point with Bill and Mick and to discuss the record. And then I went back to the Roxy and started playing. I did a whole bunch of other stuff. But I worked on all of these material records as doing the DJ stuff. And on that particular record, there actually was no DJ and stuff. So I did just the initial meeting and greeting. But Mick's a great guy. He was a very interesting guy. I was shocked to learn that he did not do drugs, because I just thought that all rock and roll guys were drug heads. And
that's where all that started too. I mean, I always tell people that too, D, that people always compare drugs with hip hop and stuff, gang violence and stuff. And I keep saying, guys, don't get this twisted. If you do your history, there's a reason why it's rock and roll and drugs, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Because when it came to punk and then hardcore rock back in the 70s, and then you had your funkadelic era, this is where a lot of that stuff came from. It wasn't hip hop. So I keep telling people that don't get that twisted. There's a big difference. I mean, I went to Roseland, bro, and I never really did drugs. I'm not going to admit I did weed, but there's a huge difference. I want to get that out there and let people know there's a difference in that. So I'm glad you said that about that.
Yeah, he just smoked a little bit of weed. That's it. He just smoked weed. And he said, man, I just smoke weed. And I was like, wow, okay. You know, I was being stereotypical of the, you know, all rock and roll guys are drug addicts, you know. So, but he smoked his weed, and that was it, man. And
somebody who smoked a lot of weed, he really wasn't that mellow at all. Like, what was in that weed? Was that like?
I think that the weed calmed him down. Otherwise, he'd be walking around doing all that, you know. So,
yeah,
I think.
He had the lips to roll up a good blunt, though. He had the lips to roll up a good blunt. But I wouldn't go near the blunt, because if I saw him rolling up a blunt, I'd be like, nah, bro, you can have it, because your lips covered that whole entire thing, and that's all you, bro. Smoke that. I'm not touching your saliva, bro. But you have a lot of stuff going on right now. Explain a few things, because you have a lot. I think you have like 6 things you're working on right now.
I have a bunch of things. One is right now we have a record out, Thelonious Monk, Palo Alto.
Right, that's what I was going to get to.
Yeah, I did that with T.S. Monk, the son of Thelonious Monk, T.S. Monk III, or Thelonious Monk III, we call him T.S. Monk. And he had a monster hit, I don't know if you remember, it was Bum Bum V, give me that bum 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 V. So he's the son of Thelonious Monk.
Oh, okay. How'd you guys hook up?
Right, well, we met at a club called Cecil's Swinging in West Orange, jazz spot. And he was working on another recording that was found in the Library of Congress of his father, Thelonious Monk, playing with John Coltrane at Carnegie Hall.
Right.
And Cecil Brooks III, it was his club, and I was, you know, in and out of there, so I knew him pretty good. He introduced me to Monk, and he was like, this is the guy that should, you know, restore that record and, you know, and get it to sound, you know, modern so that you can put it out. And Monk gave me the shot. He said, okay, you know, they're saying you the guy to do the job. So, you know, I did it. I actually flipped out because when they brought it to me, it was the Secret Service. You know, I was like, man, are you serious? Secret Service. They had the Zero Halliburton case with the handcuff on it. And I was like, ooh, are you serious? And it was like, this is a national treasure. Like,
really? You open it up, there's like fruit roll-ups inside. Like, this is why you guys got a handcuff? Like, really?
Yeah, and it was like, dude, I don't know if you realize that this is an actual national treasure. And yes, it has to be guarded. And they stood there and watched me transfer it and everything. They didn't leave until it was done. They took the tape and disappeared. And so I kind of freaked out. Like, you know, man, if I mess this up, I'm going to disappear. You know? The Secret Service. What?
It's classified.
Yeah, what did I get myself into here, you know? Exactly. But
you didn't see Vinny and Tony in the back? Like Yo, just watch that fool, all right? Just
Right,
watch
right.
it.
So,
Don't worry. If
but,
he messes up, we'll go get his family. We got him. We
right,
got him.
right. So what happened was, you know, I started saying, okay, how do I restore this and without any degradation to the source file? I was trying to fix certain highs, certain things in the lower frequency, all of these different things. I started looking at ambient anomalies that were non-musical. Like it was just crazy. And I said, okay, how do I solve these problems? I actually listened for a week straight until Monk and Train literally started talking to me. And they were calling me Young Blood. They were like, hey, Young Blood, man, get that hiss. And that was the tape hiss, because they did it live. There was no tape hiss in their show. You know what I'm saying? Tape hiss is the technology. And so they were saying, get rid of the hiss. And so I started plotting solutions. And in the process, I innovated a technique that I call forensic editing, where I'm able to remove any ambient anomalies without degradation to the source file at all.
Right.
And it's there, but what I've done is figured out a way to trick the brain from not hearing it. And it worked. And my assistant, his name is James Della Tacoma, he got so mad at me because he thought I had lost my mind. My beard was like down to the floor. I hadn't bathed in about a week or maybe a month. And he said, man, you've lost your mind. I quit. And he quit. And I said, dang, wait, no, come back. And I said, look, listen to this section, right? Now, see this formula? Put this formula in the plugins that we used. And when he did it, it worked. And he said, holy cow, how'd you do that? Then when Monk came over, we showed him what I did, and the rest is history. So now when this next one, and that became the #1 jazz record that year.
That's crazy. And
it's in the top #1 jazz records of all time now. And so now we have a new record that we just did, Palo Alto. I basically did the same thing. And just last week, that became the #1 selling vinyl jazz record in America.
Congratulations, man. That's pretty incredible. Congrats.
Yeah.
Is royalties in play on that, and residuals, or was that not in play when you guys?
Oh no. I get points and
good. Because I always ask that. I don't need to know what you make because that's your business, but I always ask that. And the reason why I do, I'm seeing more and more artists today that are not practicing their business. Right. And I just have to ask that because they get so excited, and not you, obviously, you know what you're doing, but they get so excited about being a part of something that they forget, okay, that's great, you're a part of something, but if you don't have your business together, you can be a part of it all you want, but when it comes to the media and everything else, if you don't have your name on that and something coming through, they can easily take your name off that like you never existed. So you gotta get your stuff done.
Yeah, so quick shout out to T.S. Monk and Douglas Holloway. They also, along with myself, did the production, and I did the mixing and mastering. And we're celebrating. We also won the Japanese version of the Grammys for Best Jazz Record of the Year. I think this goes into, we just released another version of it called the Custodians Mix. And I think that goes into next year's awards, American Awards.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, so
that's incredible.
Yeah, we're kind of celebrating. And, I look at that and I say, people, I'm a musician, and before there was hip hop, I grew up in the music environment. My aunt Audrey, my uncle Rex, my mother's singer, my grandmother's a musician. And so I was always around this. And so the tutelage I got, even when no one was talking to me, just by me observing how people function with their musicianship, plays a major role in how I function today. My cousin Todd had this crazy band called the Funk Masters with Bobby Clark and Cedric C.J. Jones and Mark I forgot his last name, but Mark Johnson. Yeah, Mark Johnson, trumpet player. So I was around. I played in school, in the bands in school, John Philip Sousa, PS 111, elementary school. I was the drummer in school. So, I had all of that. So a lot of people go, wow, when'd you get into jazz? And I'm like, man, I drew from Beethoven to Bob Marley. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. If you're in the music, you got to be in all music. That's how you make music better.
But the key thing is, one of the things that hip hop does, if you're a true hip hop head, is you are functioning from a genreless position. There is no genre of music in hip hop.
Right.
Not really. Not if you're really a practitioner of hip hop.
Combined.
It's genreless, yeah.
Yeah, if you really think about all different types of music, there's jazz, there's soul, there's funk, there's reggae, there's dancehall. Run DMC and Beastie Boys put rock into their hip hop. So, as long as people don't understand, hip hop has this known beat. That's like that beat that they create. You have that beat, you can meld pretty much anything around to it. Like even old school reggae. Like they have that, everybody knows that one reggae beat, but you can pretty much add everything to it. Speaking of something, because you have a lot, I know you got a cover band coming out, but something I want to hit on. You're doing this thing called the Journey album, which is an historical musical journey of the plight of blacks in America. Please talk about that. That seems like a pretty important project that you're working on right now.
Yeah, we're trying to have it ready for Black History Month. This is a journey. The process is a journey. And what we're doing is we're laying out the history chronologically. Some of the best and some of the worst of our experience here in America. There are a lot of things that have been discovered and uncovered in recent times that people need to know. And this was triggered by the George Floyd incident, which I personally refer to as one of the ultimate social engineered projects in American history. And so that triggered me to, and along with Monk, because it was really came out of his brain computer of adding a record I was working on to something he was working on. Right. And I said, the only way to do that is to tell a whole story, to connect the two. And so Monk did an Oscar Brown poem called Bitter Men, and he's playing live drums. And when you hear it, it's going to blow most drummers away, because his performance is just on another level. To do what he's doing, he had to have been doing that since he was a child, to be able to play an accent and change time signatures and verbalize and keep time and swing and a physical emphasis, vocal emphasis, and all of that is happening in this performance. And so, and then I was working on a gospel song, believe it or not. And he said, man, I want to put that song with this song. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. And then,
right.
So the only way for it to happen is to tell a story to get to that.
Right.
From this poem about slavery. His piece is about being sold on an auction block. And so his opening words is, bitter men, bitter men. That's the way they used to start bidding.
Mm-hmm.
And then he does this whole poem about selling a female slave.
So is there going to be visuals with this besides the music?
Yeah, it's going to be a performance piece. It started out as just a recording, but we decided that we're going to make it a full-blown performance piece with slides, photos, speeches, dialogue, and it's going to be broken up with musical performances. The Last Poets is on it. I mean, it's just phenomenal. Angie Stone.
That's my grandma.
Allison Williams. Kingpin Shaheem from one of my first groups. Dougie Fresh. I mean, it's growing as we go, and it's just an incredible piece. And everything we got so far is so phenomenal, man. It's kind of nerve-wracking because the opening piece, and I don't want to give it up, it just and then Monk's piece raised the bar so high that, you know, we're trying to figure out, well, how do we get to this next piece without falling down the hill? So that's where we are now, trying to keep the dynamic range of the energy balance as we move forward. We have a sister named Angela that's going to come in to sing a Mahalia Jackson piece that's coming up next week, in a few days actually, for the project. So it's poetry, gospel, musicianship, rapping, everything. It's all of our expressions through each particular time where there were dramatic events. We go through the slavery, to the Reconstruction, to the deconstruction of the Reconstruction, to all of it, the best and the worst. And you know, we're saying, hey, this is what actually happened. Let's look at this, and because these stories that we've been given, based on what the powers that be say, this is the history that you should know.
Right.
I disagree. And I'm going to, along with everyone else who is working on this project, feels the same way. The truth should be known.
I think so. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The way I'm listening to what you're doing, this kind of sounds like a really cool idea if you guys were to do an off-Broadway play with everything that you're doing.
That's exactly where we are.
That's exactly it. All right. And the reason I love listening to stuff. You got to find out. I'm probably the best listener in the world. I would love to go to something like this because it may not have impact on me, but for me and whatever my skin, because I look at everybody as equal anyway.
Right.
It opens up people's more eyes to what has really gone down from the point of view of people who've gone through it, right? And I think a play would be a very encouraging what you're doing, because it now allows the audience to engage on what they don't know about, which I think is cool. And I would even pass around a little thing like they do in church to get some donations and put it back into the African American culture. You know what I'm saying?
I can dig that. But what we're trying to do is make real, bring the real back. And we're functioning from the position of facts over feelings. You know, to say that someone discovered something and leave out the fact that millions of people was murdered, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's funny how back in the day they try to talk more a little bit positive and leave out the truth, and today it's everything is coming out, and the reason why is because social media has opened up the world to the real voices of the world instead of the ones that being paid to be told to what to say. It's a huge difference to that.
Yeah, it doesn't help anybody to try to understand these historical stories that are based on some sort of mental problem where you're not acknowledging what was done here, and you're saying, we found this. Mm-hmm. and then so sing the Star Spangled Banner and stand up and pledge allegiance to the flag. That's not mentally sound. And so we need to deal with that. And so that's one of the things this is doing. It's okay to deal with it now, because we have to, because the problems that we see is because we're not dealing with facts. We're dealing with a story that was created because for whatever psychological issues there were, for that to even to be perpetuated to this day suggests that there's an issue, and we have to deal with it. And for us, I don't think me passing this on to the children is fair to them, because it makes you go, well, why is this the way it is? We know why it is the way it is now. And it doesn't have to be that way. Right. Just tell the truth and let's move forward. You know what I mean? It already happened. So to keep perpetuating these stories, like, you know, something miraculously happened here and you're just here. No, there was atrocities that cannot be explained, you know. And so, but they need to know that these things happen. And so now we're trying to heal. You can't heal from something you don't want to admit.
And I 100% agree with that. Now, as we flow into the ending, because this is what happens on the show, we talk and we're going through stuff. That's what conversations are all about. I do want to talk about the end off the Team Hip Hop Initiative, which is a grassroots organization that includes entrepreneurs, hip hop legends. Tell me what that's all about and the reason behind that and how you're moving forth with it.
Okay, if you look over here behind me, you see that?
Yeah, what is that, G.I. Joe figures?
That's Team Hip Hop, baby.
I'm like, you got
some
to come
superheroes are real. You
Sure.
heard me?
Yeah, Ben Crump.
Some superheroes are real. And that's what Team Hip Hop is about. You know, it's a grassroots movement. And, you know, we have doctors, journalists, photographers, you name it, other artists. And what we're trying to do is create master classes. Like I've done a few where I teach, like I scored episode 1 of the Defiant Ones. I know we didn't talk about that today, but I did the Defiant Ones, Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre, episode 1. So that's my master class. I show these young people that you don't have to write rhymes all the time. You can create music for film, for videos, for commercials. And then I try to segue into the conditions in the neighborhood, the violence. And that's my whole thing. My way in is to teach something that they're interested in, and then to share ideas about how to improve the community and ways of dealing with issues, disagreements, altercations, without it leading to somebody's mother burying their child. Mother and father burying their child. And so that's what Team Hip Hop is. We are trying to deal with some of the issues. That's why when we opened and I was talking about those issues, what culture is, that's why I come at it from that perspective, because it's critical that these children understand that what you're seeing is not the only resource to deal with a problem. You know, all of the other information has been removed, and you're being conditioned through the mediums that you think you're being entertained, but you're being programmed. And this is how you're responding based on some of the things that you're seeing 24 hours a day, and wearing these programming devices that we wear in our heads, shotgunning this information repeatedly over and over in your brain computer. Shoot, kill, shoot, drugs, sex, disrespect your women, kill, shoot, and don't care. It's about me, I, listen, the hip hop community generated billions and billions of dollars in the last 20 years. There's no hospital. Where's the hip hop hospital? Where's
hip hop hospital?
Yeah, where's the hospital generated from your cultural wealth? Right. Where did the cultural wealth go? It went somewhere, and we don't even know who got it.
So you're gonna possibly be like even a professor at the museum? Because I know, speaking with Pete and all those guys, that they're looking to put educational classes into the museum to talk a lot about this. Have you ever even approached them about putting this as an angle of a class to put into this thing?
Well, to be honest with you, that was my first time there that day. I had never been there before.
That was everybody's first time. That was all our first time.
Some of my brothers there. I saw the twins. I was happy to see them. Sasa and Tristan, the OGs. Shout out to them. I'm not sure. I want to see what actually happens there, because my position is solid of what I want to do with the young people, and so I'm not bending nothing with that. Our children are the only proof that any of us ever existed, and they are the latest models of our ancestors. And it is our responsibility to instill into them the best that our ancestors has produced, because we're not doing it. And so we have to find that and instill it into the generation coming, or we have failed them or the hip hop culture has failed the youth coming up, period.
Right. Right. And that's a pretty powerful statement. And
it is what it is,
sure
bro.
I know, and I appreciate it, man. I'm sure we'll hear a lot more from you. Now, I know you're in the midst of building a website, because I think it's important that you get that up, because you have so much information to bear. I think once that's up, I think you should definitely dedicate a section of your site to this and let people
absolutely
know.
Team hip hop that's what it's all about. One of the things we're doing now is I wrote 4 treatments for PSAs that I want to do. One we're going to do it in Chicago, because just that issue is everywhere, where these young men have completely disconnected from what human life is. They have totally disconnected from that, and they don't really know what death is. And so it is our responsibility, because it's being done through the process of being in what we're calling some sort of entertainment culture. And it is the hip hop culture has been weaponized, and the weapon is pointed at the practitioners. And because of the monetary dream, people are functioning from, the religion of individualism. So me, mine, I got to get mine, and materialism. So it blinds you from the reality of the damage and the detriment that is being done in the process of obtaining these things that you can't eat. It's not good.
No, it's not. And listen, man, I would love to continue this conversation. I can always welcome you back. And if you don't know, I'm speaking with Grandmixer DXT, legend right here, pioneer, and again, first turntablist to win a Grammy. So that's
let me make one distinction, because I'm getting zips in the wires, so I get beat over the head.
Okay.
First turntablist, period. And I hate to have to go in the room and say that, but for some strange reason, that's being blurred. And it should not be. I shouldn't have to do that. You know what I mean? And so, because all of a sudden I'm getting these challenges, and I'm like, why? I don't do none of that. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't do that. It is what it is. All you got to do, there's receipts for all of that. And so now I realize that, you know what, because I didn't care about any of that. But if the history has to be documented right, and people are constantly documenting it wrong, then it's, for me not to say nothing is a problem. You know what I mean? So now I have to say that, just so it's documented correctly.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And excuse me if me saying that offended anybody, because I generally don't do that. But now, I'm getting beat over the head,
No, it's totally understandable. Totally.
Yeah, I'm getting beat over the head. Like, yo, how could that be questioned?
Listen, at the end of the day, people question everything. And that's just the way people are. When people are quiet, they stay quiet. But when they see something that they haven't done, they question it, because they're not happy with their own lives, and they question others who are happy in theirs. And unfortunately, that's just life. And that's something we have to deal with on a daily basis, man. But listen, it's been a pleasure talking with you. It's been a pleasure chopping it up with you. And I definitely wish you all the best, and I'm sure I'm going to meet you soon. And guys, follow this guy on.
This time wave, so the security I could see you, and I could go, okay, let him through.
No, man, they don't even worry about it. They see me coming in like, yo, let that fool in. He made me laugh last time.
I went there by myself, bro. I'm joking. I was there. Those people, I didn't know none of them, man. I just knew the artists.
It's all right. They're not around anymore. My Italian family took them all out, so I'm good. So I don't
there you go.
We good. All right, bro. It's been a pleasure. Have a great night. Be safe, man. And I'll talk to you soon. Guys, it's Grandmixer DXT. I say that crap all the time. Grandmixer DXT. and Todd Wharton. Follow me at FaceTime with Todd Wharton.
Every time you do that, you're gonna have to cash app me, man.
I'm gonna have to cash app you. I got a penny in my
Grandmaster.
I got a penny in my account. Can I send it over to you like Venmo?
I want one penny.
Okay, guys, we are ending this interview with Grandmixer. Say it twice, Mixer DXT.
All right.
And we'll see you soon. Have a great night, bro.
All right, peace.
Wow, such a powerful conversation. So I'd like to thank Grandmixer DXT for being such a great guest. And thank you to my live virtual audience, as always, for supporting the show. Now stay tuned, because tomorrow night I'll be interviewing multi-platinum artist, Grammy nominee, an amazing man, Apollo winner, and my man Peter Wayne is going to be in the house tonight. So guys, be well, be safe, and like I always say, if you're not living a passionate life, then whose life you're living? Guys, have a great night. Take care. Hey guys, thanks for watching. And while you're here, you might as well subscribe to my YouTube channel. And for more information on the show, go to FaceTimeWithToddWharton.com.
What are you doing in there?
Ma, I'm shooting a promo. Why you always gotta ruin my flavor?